a spot for the Christmas tree, and we haven't got that tree as yet.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh,
No, we try to get it earlier this year, which, you know, I usually wait a little bit longer, but we got it earlier, and now it's starting to turn brown. I guess I'm not watering it
uh-oh.
enough.
Yeah,
Too
too
early.
early.
I did it right after. You know what? I did it right after Thanksgiving that Friday,
Oh,
so
wow.
very early.
Yes. Okay. All right. Let me welcome everybody to the Mortgage 101 show and finance literacy. My co-host is Jose Velasquez, of course, the Latino lender. Okay, he's a licensed mortgage broker, and I am also a licensed financial producer and field underwriter. Okay, what we strive to bring you each week is real information. So, what the listeners could expect to get is education on home ownership and financial literacy, and how to access your funds to diversify your savings, right? Funds you already have, and so Jose has helped a lot of families to make the best decision when it comes to buying and refinancing, and also hard money. So our topic today is hard money, isn't it, Jose?
Yes,
Hard
absolutely. Thank you
money.
for that
Good, good.
introduction. Always appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. So let everybody know we're coming from the Positive Radio Network at 106.9 FM with our producer Auntie Donna Moore Stewart with a con color. That's 106.9 FM Positive Radio. So take it away, Jose. We're gonna hit up on hard money.
Yeah,
That's the form of
absolutely.
loans. Okay.
Yes. So, thank you guys, everyone, for whoever's tunes in, and hopefully we can give you guys some information, some education, and really just kind of get people's minds open and going to different ideas, different concepts, and then from there, I always say, knowledge is power, right? And that's something that has been
Sure.
passed down for a long time. But sometimes, you don't know what you don't know, and that is where we hopefully could come in and situate that, right? So,
Mhm.
hard money. It's an awesome topic. I am personally, I love hard money. But maybe because I'm coming from finance world, right? I'm all about leveraging, what is it? Someone else's money, right?
Yes.
S. So other people's money is always better to leverage than yours.
Oh,
Hard
sure.
money, right? Hard money.
OPP, OPPM,
Other people's money. OPVM, exactly. OPP.
OPPM. You know me. Right.
And for anybody who is not familiar with what hard money is, in a nutshell, private money that, whether it's a group of people, whether it's small, right? It could literally be one person that just has, you know, a boatload of money and wants to loan it out for any and all particular ventures. I'm going to be talking specifically about real estate when it comes to hard money. So same thing though, it could be one person who has the hard money and is holding the mortgage note, which is basically just the lien against the property, or it could be a group of people. It could even be something as big as hedge funds
Hedge
down on
fund.
Wall
Right.
Street.
Right.
So hard money is basically a form for you as the borrower to be able to take money to be able to flip properties. So this is for all my people out there that are looking to get into buying and flipping properties, or buying and renting out properties.
Okay.
One popular method of using hard money is called the Burr method, which is basically you
The Burr
buy the
method. Spell that,
Burr.
Jose.
It's a BRRR.
Burr.
Burr, like I'm cold. Burr. It's
What?
the Burr method, and
Never
what
heard of
it's
that. Is there a is it abbreviation for shipping?
yes. So it stands
Oh,
for
bring it to me. We're talking about Burr, breezy.
Burr. It's buy,
Okay.
Rehab. re-
BUY.
no, yeah, but so it's BRRR, right? So it stands for
B
buy,
R R.
rehab,
Rehab.
refinance,
Refinance.
repeat.
Repeat. Oh, so
For buy, rehab, refinance, repeat.
and it's not like rinse, wash, and repeat.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's and now so what that means is you know, you you've done your due diligence, you have found a property, and now you are ready to purchase that property. But that property might cost, let's say, $100,000 or $200,000. What I tell people is, especially if it's your first time flipping, um, using other people's money would be more ideal because yes, there are higher rates when it comes to private money, just so you
Yes,
understand.
most
And
definitely.
normal and standard rates, you're going to see anything between 10 to 15%. And
Okay.
then you're also going to be paying points. Standard points could be anywhere between 2 to 4%. How do they come up with those numbers? It's going to depend on the person, right? What your interest rate is, what your experience is, and also on the people lending you the money. What if they're a large institution or a small institution, right? So
Uh,
depending on all those factors, they'll figure out more or less where your rate falls or where your points fall. To be honest with you, again, regardless of all of that, um, it's always good to, especially for the first few, to use hard money. The reason for it is, again, you're taking on a lot of risk when you go to buy a house and rehab it, fix it up, do the whole nine, and then be able to sell it. Right?
yeah.
It's always going to be a risk. Now,
Right. It's
you
always
could
it's always a risk to the lender
to you as the flipper.
as a flipper. It's about a
Yeah.
risk to the lender.
Yeah, how about this? It's a risk to everybody, right? So if
Okay.
let's say you're not the lender and you're just the guy going to flip the house, and
Right.
you sink your own 200,000 or your own 300,000 into that house, you're in it for 300,000 by
Right.
yourself,
Right. Right.
right? If that house burns down tomorrow, then you're out 300K basically, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is, um, we are able to only put down a 20% stake into that property. I'm going to use small numbers. So let's say the house at auction or the house that you managed to find through whatever your source was cost 100 grand for you to be able to purchase. Now
Right.
you say, okay, I'm going to put down 20,000. That's 20%.
Right.
The lender will now give you the other 80%. And
Okay.
now here's where it depends on the lender, right?
Yeah.
Most will also give you the rehab money as well. So let's say it's going to
Oh,
cost you
okay.
50,000 to fix it. They'll lend you the 80 plus the 50 for a total of 130.
Okay. Question.
Go ahead.
Pertaining to the rehab, right?
Uh-huh.
The the owner, right? Do we have to come up, or they have to come up with like some sort of what you call it, estimates and
Oh
stuff like
yeah.
that from the
Oh yeah. Oh
to
yeah.
to
So
give to the lender?
oh yeah. Oh yeah. So and this is where I said, you've done your due diligence because for right now, I'm going to talk about uh borrowing the money and what is needed, right? But yes, before you go to the lender, you have run comps on a ton of properties, right? At that point,
Right.
hopefully you have run comps through multiple properties and found, hey, okay, this is really good property. If I buy for 100, I put 50,000 into it, and then I could sell it, let's say for 200,000, I make 50,000 in profit,
Right.
right? Ideally, and again, these are just arbitrary numbers that we're throwing out there, but that's kind of the idea, is that you've done your due diligence so that okay, great, this property is going to net me 50,000 if I sell it, 40,000 if I sell it, 30, whatever
Right.
that number is, right? That's also what you tell the lender when you are borrowing the money for the project. they're going to want a project work of scope. So they're going to say, okay, what's the property worth? What do you think the rehab cost is going to be? How long do you think it's going to take you? Because you have to calculate all this into it, right? How
Right.
long is it going to take you to do the rehab? Is it going to be 3 months? Is it going to be 6 months? All of those numbers need to make sense, right?
Right.
For you as the person who's borrowing the money too, and the person who's going to lend you the money, right? The reason that I say in the beginning, the rate, the points and everything else are more or less irrelevant is because what you really want to get, especially for the first few, is the experience.
Right.
There's nothing's going to beat you getting experience, right? Like you could read the books, you could, follow people and learn it. But until you actually start doing it, there's nothing that's going to beat that education, right?
I don't mean to cut you off, but give you a little scenario. This was like years back. I wanted was to join some of the what do you call it, some investment group. So they said, okay, no problem, fine. They sent me a form, like, how many houses did you rehab? Forget it. How many houses, how what's your experience in rehabbing? And how long? What was your what was it? Your escape, your out route, something like that.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, I think, yeah, again, right. There's so many lenders, and I think some overcomplicate it. But again, if you're a experienced flipper, you've made it to that point where you're going to those particular lenders and going, hey, look, I've done 20 properties, 100 properties. My normal exits are 6 to 8 weeks, but whatever it is, like you've gotten the numbers down.
Exit plan, yeah. What's my exit plan? I'm like, what are they talking about? Exit plan? Exit out of what?
Yeah,
I didn't understand one word they were talking about.
Yeah, and I get it. You know what I mean? They're trying to protect themselves and everything else as well. So, it's good. It's a great way for you as the person who's trying to get into flips, and them as people who are, they are lending their money and expecting a return on that money. You're borrowing their money and giving them a return for borrowing that money. And maybe in the first few projects, I think people look at the returns too closely, or they look at the oh man, they're charging me this rate and they're charging these points and I got to pay and this and that. But the reality is you're getting a lesson. That's really the key, right? Because like anything else, in the beginning, you don't know what you don't know. So it's better for you to get into a project with someone else's money and figure it out on their dime than figuring it on your dime. Because if, let's say, you have $100,000, you go into the first project, you put 20,000 into it, that project goes south, you start tearing into walls and find out that the property had massive flood damage or termites or whatever, right?
Foundation problems.
Foundation, anything. All of a sudden, that $50,000 rehab, that $50,000 rehab now costs $80,000 for rehab. The back isn't permitted, so now you got to figure that out. That costs another $10,000, and then all of a sudden it eats into all your profits, and now you're either negative in profit or you are just breaking even, right?
Yeah.
Better for you to break even or run negative on their dollar than on your dollar.
And your dollar.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So let's say now, okay, so now you're out. Yeah, so now let's say the project goes south, and now you're out $20,000. Does that $20,000? Like, does that still hurt? Does that still suck? Yeah.
Yes.
But it's better than going out $100,000 or $200,000 because you were in it. And that's what happens. So sometimes you'll see properties where they've done half the work, half the rehab, and they fixed out a bunch of it, and now they're selling it. And you're always wondering, like, what happened here? They probably used their own money, right? Or B, sometimes these other investors, they buy 10, 15, 20, 30 properties at a clip, start working on them, and then go, you know what, I don't need to finish this project. I'll let it go and call it a day. Because, again, it's other people's money. You're able to do those moves when it's other people's money. You call it a day, you sell it, you give them back their money, and move on to the next project.
Yeah.
So it's always good to leverage, right? Leveraging money is a good thing, especially when it comes to real estate. Now, moving on to I'm going to go through the whole process, and then I'll come back and answer other questions like as well. And even as we go on, if you have questions, obviously I'll answer them. But
Yeah.
the idea is for you to take that $100,000 property. They give you 80%. They give you the other 50,000 to do the work. Now you're in the property. You're starting to do the work. Whether that takes you a month, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hard money lenders lend you the money for a 1-year period. So you have 12 months to do the work and sell the property. Pay them back their money.
Only 1 year has about
Yes.
longer. Some do it for longer, innit?
So if you go past that 1-year mark, you start getting charged more.
For the interest or
interest and points, possibly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So again, it all depends on the scope of the project. Now here, most of the hard money lenders understand that you're buying and fixing the property, you're doing it within that 12-month period. If it's taking you longer, then you're running into major issues, and that's why they'll call their note at 12 months, depending on what the issues are. Right. So usually it's about a year, and you should be able to get it done within a year. Like there's no house project that shouldn't take you longer than that, especially if you're starting out.
Okay. I've seen it take longer in the UK.
What?
I see it. You go to the UK and see how these people, build their houses.
Uh-huh.
Oh, very,
really?
very strong. Yes, very
I've never been out there.
And strong. I remember I went on vacation, like say, I think maybe 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a project like made by my mom. And my mom used to live in the UK. There's a project there. They're building this house, a big house. And I went back, I think maybe 2018, early 2018. Not even half of the house is is erected. I'm like, oh, what's happening? They run out of money. But then, I see people still working there. So I said, Mom, why did it take so long to build this house? She said, that's how it is here. And I'm like, okay. But the houses, they are constructed very, very sturdy, very strong. Not like up here where you see like those that destroyed in the tornado. It's so sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
They house with blocks and steel. They tighten to every column of steel of blocks of steel, straight up, erected vertically, straight up, steel in every blocks, straight up and tied in.
Yeah, so I'm not familiar with the UK's real estate market. From what I do understand, it is very difficult to get a mortgage there.
Yes,
it is very difficult to get a mortgage there.
It is. I don't want. Let me cut in again because my mom, my stepdad, he died. And at that time, my mom was like, I think she was like in her 50s or mid 50s when he died. Yeah. And she, the house was sold, that they sold the house, everything, went to, the estate and sold. So she had a portion of the money. So she said, all right, let me, being that she didn't purchase the house, which, when the husband was alive, she didn't know how the process was then. So she said she went to one of the realtors to see if she could purchase a house by herself, of course. So they asked her, what's her age? And she said, they said, no, we don't give mortgages to people over 50 or 55, I think, because there's no guarantee they're going to live to pay off the loan. They're like, oh, all right, Mom, take that money, rent a flat or something and live your life.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's great. I don't think people really realize how protected they really are here. Mm-hmm. So, we here, you can't discriminate against race. You can't discriminate against age. The only thing we can base it on is, do you make enough money to cover your payments? Right. That's really it. But yeah, I heard that it's very difficult to get property in the UK and those kind of places. But luckily that's kind of the beauty of it. Luckily, we live where we live. The real estate market here is very much tied into the economy for as a big part of it. So that is why they do make it more accessible for people to be able to buy mortgages.
Yeah.
And that's really what you're purchasing. You're purchasing the house and you're also purchasing a mortgage.
Mm.
So with this, right, you would get the property, like I said, right? Put the 20,000 down, get the money to work on the property, sell the property off, or through the BRRRR method, what you would do ideally is refinance the property. Now, the reason that you would refinance the property, so there are two ways of thinking of this, right? Method one is what most people I think are familiar with, or at least understand, is hey, you go, you buy the house, you fix it up, you sell it, you make money. Perfect, that's great. But there's another school of thought of, hey, let me buy the house, fix it up, refinance it. When you refinance the house, there are a couple things that happen. One, you retain the property, so you retain the asset, you keep the house, and now you're renting it out, and you're having that tenant pay down the mortgage. And while they're paying down the mortgage and building equity, the house is also going up in value year over year. So it's two ways that you're now creating wealth. The other thing is, if the numbers make sense, right, you're also, when you refinance, you do a cash out refinance. Now, you wouldn't make, let's say the house is 150, you put 150 into it, you sell it for 200, that's 50,000. Instead of keeping that 50, let's say now you only make 15,000, right?
Right.
Because when you refinance a house, you can only refinance it up to 80% of the property, which would really be 160. So really, you would only make 10,000, let's say, right? So let's say let's use that number, 10,000. You get $10,000 from that property, yours.
Yes.
When you refinance and you leverage, that $10,000 is tax-free in your pocket.
Right. Okay.
That $50,000 you would have to pay taxes on.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So now you pay taxes on 50,000 on that particular scope of work. Whatever that money goes back to Uncle Sam, because they always want to collect. I'd rather have the 10,000 in my pocket,
Tax-free.
tax-free,
Yep.
and have a tenant who is now paying my mortgage down, possibly getting a little bit of cash flow into my pocket. But let's say you're not. You've been doing this for, let's say, 5 years. You've been buying properties, refinancing them, and rehabbing them, refinancing them, repeating, right? Because that's the whole idea, is that you buy, you rehab, you refinance, you repeat, right? Exactly. Brr. So once you've done it, over, let's say, the course of 5 years, now you might have X amount of properties. You go back to your first property, which has hopefully by then gone up in value, right? Over the past, let's say, 10, 15 years, if you look at what homes have done, they have skyrocketed, right? Comparatively. The tenant has also been paying it down. Let's say now you go back in to the first property, you refinance it, pull out equity again, and now you have, let's say, 40,000 in your pocket.
Right.
You go to the next property that you did, you refinance it, you go to the next one, you go to the next one, you go to the next one. And now, as you've been building more and more, depending on what you want to do with that money, you could either A, get into bigger projects, because now you could go back, let's say, refinance 3 or 4 properties, pull out, let's say, 20, 20, 20. Now you have 60,000 that came out. Now you have 60,000 to put into the next property, plus the 20 that you originally had. So now that's 80,000. And now you have more money to play. So now maybe you go into a property that's a higher price point, which could garner you even more money. And then you keep going and you keep moving from there. So that's why the BRRRR method is super, super popular, because a lot of people like to be able to keep the asset, right?
Yes. Yeah.
One next strategy up. So now that's just the BRRRR method. The next strategy.
Let me give your information out.
Oh,
They
yeah.
can get in touch with you, Jose, because this bird thing here is burn me up. It sounds wicked.
So yeah. So
Right,
my direct cell phone number, 516-996-6543. Shoot me a text. It's probably one of the best ways. Just shoot me a text. Introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about what you want to discuss, and we can set up an appointment to be able to kind of see how I'd be able to help you out. The other way would be to be able to email me directly at thelatinolenders@gmail.com. And you can also find me on IG, on Instagram at The Latino Lender, and also on Facebook as well as The Latino Lender. I put it down here in the description below so you can see
Right.
right
That's
on
your
my face.
IG.
Anybody can see
Okay.
that. Yep.
And of
Um,
course, you gotta let them know where they get the information from. Positive Radio,
they-
106.9 FM, Auntie Donna, Moore Stewart, one with a con color. And tell them what you got for them if they close a deal with you.
yeah,
What's the deal?
absolutely. Absolutely. So what we're doing is we're giving anybody who again, the hashtag, right? You have to put the hashtag in, Positive Radio, and you put that hashtag in, then we will actually give you $500 towards your closing costs.
Okay, so hashtag Positive Radio gets you $500 towards your closing costs if you close a deal with Jose Velasquez, the Latino lender. Okay, go ahead. Let's continue talking about the hard money.
Yeah. So okay. So now we have hard money, right? And hopefully, everyone at least has a general understanding of how hard money works. The next step, what I would suggest would be, and something that I've seen a lot of people really starting to get into is doing the Burr method, but
Mm-hmm.
not renting them out, but actually turning them into Airbnbs.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right. So now you're looking at properties, let's say outside of your state. And let's, take a state like Florida, right? And we're in New York. We look at Florida, something affordable. And also, it's a little more affordable, right, in Florida than it is up
Yeah.
here. So you look at Florida, you do the rehab, you do the whole thing. Now you create it into an Airbnb. And because you are doing it from the beginning, from the ground up, the nice thing is this, especially if you're going to do Airbnbs, the one thing I will suggest that I've seen work is, and something that if I were to be doing Airbnbs, is I would give that particular home something unique, right? Whatever that might mean for that particular area, right? Let's say you have homes in Texas or something like that. Maybe in the back you have some kind of like barbecue like setup, right? Because that's what Texans are huge in. Let's say if you
Oh,
were in New
okay.
Orleans, right? If you were in New Orleans, you would have some kind of like setting to do oh my gosh, what's that stuff like with the little shrimp? You know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah, it is.
like gumbo. You could set up like these big fire
Oh,
pit things to do gumbo, like stuff like that. So something creative for that area that people are gonna want to take pictures of, hashtag, whatever it is. Like if you're doing something for that particular location for an Airbnb, you want people to have an experience at your
right.
home. So set up something cool, some kind of really awesome experience. Especially if you're doing it from I don't even say the ground up, even if it's already a house that is move-in ready, but you still want to do some kind of rehab to make something special in that home. I
Yeah.
would do it, make it stand out so that people, when they go to Airbnb, your house stands out a little bit different and a little bit more than the person that's up the block from you that's also Airbnb-ing. That would be my big suggestion if you go into that space.
Right.
Just because people love social and you want people talking and buzzing. And with Airbnbs, the key to it is getting a high occupancy rate.
Right.
So you want to have that 80, 90% occupancy rate. And to be honest with you, the more creative you get with it, the more people really want to come. You'll be booked 100% occupancy. I've seen some really crazy projects where, they're booked out months in advance and people are trying to get into it. So, some really cool stuff. The more creative you get, I would also tell you to, get to know the local area and really make friends with the local places, whether it's like the pizza place, the Chinese place, the theater, whatever it is, right? Get to
Right.
know them, put that included in your little bundle and your little like welcome package when people come in,
Right.
and stuff like that. Like, something would be, a bright colored door, different
Yeah.
colors, and like just something that makes you stand out when people first walk in. Maybe you have like a staging area when you first walk in, or a really cool a really cool table that people want to take pictures at, like something, whatever it might be.
Right.
It would be really awesome for you to get into something like that, again, just to stand out if you do the Airbnb method. If you do the long-term rental method, stick to the regular things. Don't go too out of too wild, because when it comes to the rental side of things, you want to be able to make it as manageable for the renter as well, right? So you're not trying to go
Right.
too crazy with them. You want it to be home feel, you know what I mean? Like not so
Right.
much like a hotel feel. So just two different suggestions: whether you're going full rental and you're going long-term rentals, or you're going short-term rentals, you're going to want two different strategies for that. Now, for the hard money people, it doesn't matter whether you're renting it long-term or you're going to rent it short-term, right? The
Right.
only thing that they care about is that you're going to be able to pay the monthly mortgage payments that are going to be coming, and that you're going to be able to fix the property in a timely manner, hopefully with less than a year, and that you're going to be able to pay them back their money that they're owed. So
Yeah.
once you've done that,
Right.
once you've done that, and you've gotten experience, and let's say now you've done however many projects, now it becomes easier for you to be able to go into some of these places and negotiate and go, hey, look, 15% is a really high rate, or 12%, or whatever, charging me 4 point. Like now you can go to places and go, look, I've already done 5 projects, 10, 100, whatever, cut me some slack. And I've, especially if you have a long-term relationship with lenders, they're a lot more willing to lend you money because you are a safe bet.
Yes.
And once you become a safer bet, you get better terms. That's really, you know what I mean? Like that's really how lending works with us. Like it's the safer the bet, the better the terms. The more dangerous the bet is, the higher the terms are, because nobody knows if they're going to be able to get their money, or if they're going to get their money on time, or whatever it's going to be. So you want to make sure that you prep yourself. You have that experience in. Another suggestion would be, if you are trying to get into flips, and let's say you have the money, and your friend or your buddy or somebody has the construction knowledge or has the construction company, what you can do is twofold. You can both tackle at the same time. They can come in with a little more experience, so you get a little bit more friendlier terms. Not the best still, because neither one of you has best experience, but you'll get a little bit more friendlier terms. You want even more friendlier terms? Team up with somebody who already is doing flips,
Right.
or has done flips. Tell them that you want to do what's called a JV, which is a joint venture,
Right.
right? You do a joint venture with them, and you split the profits 50-50.
How
Yeah,
about putting it on paper?
yeah, exactly. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
gonna
Like,
give you my $50,000, and then you venture off, and leave me unjointed.
well, I mean,
Right.
yeah, well, technically, I mean, let's be real now. They, if we're going on the real, they really don't need you as much as you need them.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to someone who already does flips and you're going, hey, I want to use your name
Yeah.
to flip a home, they're the one putting themselves at risk, which is why you got to make it worth their while, not the other way around.
I got you.
You get
But
what I mean? So when
stuff
you go to them,
happens.
you got to make sure that the profits, I say 50-50 split. To me, that sounds fair. If they want a little bit more, that's up to you, how much you want to give up. But the idea is you're paying for the experience, because once you have one under your belt, then you can go off on your own and be like, hey, I already did one. And then
Right.
they'll lend you on the second one. And now you've done 2 and then 3. And that's the whole idea, is whether they're successes or not, it doesn't really matter as much, because what the lender wants to see is that you got into a project, you finished the project, you sold the project, you paid back your money. You got
Oh,
into a project, you sold the project, they paid back their money. And as long as you've done that a couple of times, like I said, now you become less of a risk, and
yeah.
now they'll lend you. So that would be, again, my suggestion if you're trying to get into it, is either A, you put up more money, right? Because that's the other way. If you don't want to do a joint venture, let's say, and you want to keep 100% of it, then you go put down more money. Sometimes if you put down 30% of the total, or 40% of the total, then they'll lend you by yourself as well. That's kind of the cool thing about real estate. That's kind of the nice thing about hard money lending, is that you could really make it what you want and make the terms. It's negotiable, like anything else. You're in business. When you go
Okay.
into doing flips, you're in business. You're in the business world, right? And the business world is about negotiating, and you can negotiate just about anything that you need. It just doesn't make sense for everybody involved. And I think a lot of times is that people can't get out of their own way, right? Everyone wants to make $1 right away. They don't realize, hey, you know, I don't know what I'm doing, and they're about to lend me money. So yeah, I got to give up more, especially in the beginning. Once you know what you're doing, then
Mhm.
yeah, you can negotiate for better terms. You could ask for more stuff because you put yourself in a better position. But especially in the beginning,
Yeah.
you have people who, it's crazy to me because you have people who would rather, and that's fine, right? If you want to go this route, but you have people who would rather go to school, let's say, and go into $100,000, $200,000 into debt, come out and not be sure as to where they're gonna, you know what I mean? Like, you're paying for education.
Yeah.
On this side, you're earning money for education. I think that's how people should, whether it's
That's true. Yeah.
15,000, five
That is
thousand, or
true.
whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're earning, essentially you're earning your income. So you're earning your education, you're earning your income. So now,
Earning while you're learning.
yeah, earn while you learn,
Yeah.
and you have doctors who earn while they learn. You have attorneys that earn while they learn, right? Like, you have
Mhm.
some attorneys that graduate out of Harvard, go and take a $45,000 job at some firm, work 80 hours a week because they know that if they put their time in 5 years later, now they're making $500,000.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
A
So
quick,
same
quick
thing here.
question. Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing in this life where you're looking to make a lot of money, let's say, is going to be quick. Not
True.
in real estate, not if you go to be a doctor, not if you go to be an attorney. You got to put your time in.
True.
Doctors put their time in school. They take a lot of debt, right? So now we're talking about leveraging debt. They use other people's money to go to
Yeah.
school, right? Most of them,
Right.
and they leverage that debt to then become doctors to, again, right? It's being a doctor is just taking on another apprenticeship. It's no different than becoming an electrician and being an apprentice for 4 or 5 years learning a trade.
Been
Doctors, the
there.
same thing. You're learning a trade. You know
Been
what I
there,
mean?
done that. Yeah.
Yeah, like, you're learning a trade. So you put your
Yeah.
time in, you learn your trade, you come out, you're making a boatload of money. Same thing on this side. You go in, you learn how to flip houses, you learn how to Airbnb them, and then you move on to the next. You might be someone who decides, hey, I really love staying in single family homes. You might decide to jump into multi-unit homes. You might decide to jump into big commercial properties. But
Right.
the only way you actually start to develop those skills, or even decide to jump into certain projects, or even, right, the beauty of it is have opportunities start coming to you,
Mm-hmm.
is by jumping in. Because if you don't jump into it, you'll never have the opportunities come to you. Like, nobody's coming to anyone and saying, hey, I got this great opportunity. Like, you have to be involved in it, and then you'll find out, because you've started working with attorneys, you started working with real estate agents, you started working with buyers and sellers and
The
this,
title company.
the title companies. All of a sudden, someone's like, hey,
Yeah.
look, I have this property, or hey, this person's under distress, or blah blah blah, and now you come up with all these different ways to be able to help them out. I have a group of guys that what they do is they actually, so, like, let's say you have a house that, you know, you're struggling to pay for, whatever, and it needs some work for you to be able to take out a little bit more money. What happens is this: if you sell your property right now, let's say you would get 200,000. Now this group comes in and they go, okay, cool. Let's see if we were to, let's say, fix the bathrooms, fix fix this, fix that, whatever. Instead of selling for 200, you might be able to sell it for 280, let's say, right, or 250. You'd be able to sell it for
Right.
more. They'll they'll put in the work, they'll do all that stuff, blah blah blah. You just split the difference in the profits at the end, minus whatever it costs to rehab the property. So let's say it costs 10,000 or 15,000 to rehab the property. It sells for $50,000 more.
Yeah.
Now that you minus 10,000, now it's 20 and 20. You keep 20, they keep 20. So you make what you originally would have made plus an extra 20,000.
That's cool. That's very cool, Jose.
You know,
Let me ask you one question. It's
go ahead.
pertaining to foreclosure. All right. Can the hard money be used, for to prevent foreclosure?
No,
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 we can't.
no, no,
Okay.
no, 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 no. Yeah, no, no. Because here's the thing:
Mhm.
nobody's gonna lend you money, right? Like, nobody's gonna lend you money if you already owe money to someone else and can't pay them.
Right. Oh,
You get what I'm saying? Like, it just
right.
doesn't make sense for anybody to come in and, like, be like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you money so that we pay these other guys, and I'm gonna hope that you pay me."
Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. But again, so someone in that case, like, if you're already in foreclosure and you're dealing with the banks and you're battling. That's where these guys really come into play, because sometimes if you don't have the money for foreclosure, like to be able to pay the bank and get up to date or whatever, then you probably don't have the money to be able to fix your property and get more bang for your buck.
Right.
So that's kind of the nice thing. These guys come in, take a look.
Oops. Jose, where did you go? Well, it's about time we wrap up anyway.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
Yeah,
We could be
it's
talking
about time
forever.
we wrap up, Jose. Okay. So again, just let them know where, how they could contact you.
Absolutely. So again, via text, 516-996-6543. Email theLatinoLenders@gmail.com. And you can also find me on Instagram and Facebook, The Latino Lender. And of course, hashtag, right? You got to put the
Positive
hashtag
Radio.
There you go, Positive Radio. And we'll give you $500 towards your closing cost and credit. So, and look, again, even if you just have a question, you want to just shoot me a text, ask a question, shoot me an email, ask a question
It's
on
free.
Instagram.
The information is free. So call Jose.
Or it might even be a topic. I wouldn't even, like, that would be kind of fun too. Like if you shoot something out, maybe we pick that and we make that into the topic for the following week.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So that'd be cool too,
Right. So we're gonna wish everybody a happy holidays. Whoever celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas, and we try to get back to you. That'll be next year, I think, because we will be coming on the next Friday. We will be on a Zoom meeting Thursday. Remember, Jose?
Perfect.
So we won't be having a meeting on Friday. So everybody have a good holidays. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Bye.